I actually really love watching classroom setup videos, but the only way you're getting me into the classroom in July is if Stephanie is bringing snacks and we're spending the entire day watching trashy TV on the smartboard. We don't even have a smartboard. Hey Time Crunch teachers, Marielle here. And as much as I would be stoked to have an unlimited budget and time to make over my classroom, that's just not the case for most of us in public education. Plus, I turn my keys in June, so I can't even get on campus even if I wanted to. Now, I have no intention of bashing teachers who like to go into their classrooms during the summer to set up or decorate or any of that. If that brings you joy or makes your job easier, then please feel free to do so. But at the same time, I feel like in our Instagram culture, teachers are sometimes pressured to make their classroom look perfect or to have some top to bottom theme completely set to be revealed to the students on the first day of school. I don't do themes. My theme is I'm your teacher and welcome to 5th grade. So if you take away anything from this video, please know that you have full permission to not have to do any of that. I'm currently entering my 19th or maybe 20th year of teaching. And while my students over the years have definitely loved having a clean, organized, safe, welcoming classroom environment, none of them are expecting you to spend your free time and money creating the next Disney theme ride. So instead of me stressing out about creating the perfect bulletin board, I like to focus on creating positive relationships with students and families so that I can immediately begin building rapport, trust, and partnership with them before a single student sets foot in my classroom. And trust me, spending a few hours on creating resources to do just that has paid off dividends in my classroom management. My students are awesome. But most importantly, what I learned from being a dean of students way back when is that having a positive, proactive communication with families before I have to have a tough conversation with them is really important in making sure we are working towards a common goal. I cannot stress enough how much I've benefited from this over the years and how huge the payoff has been throughout the entire school year. This video might be a tad bit longer than some of my other ones, but that's because I want to be able to explain the why behind what I do. There are many different strategies that I've implemented throughout the years, and I found that these are the 10 that I keep coming back to. So here are the 10 tasks I spend my time on leading up to the first day of school. First on my list is all about building rapport with families. Like I said earlier, as a former dean of students, I learned very quickly that my first point of contact with a family should not be one involving discipline or a tough conversation. Instead, I try really hard to have at least one, but hopefully 2 positive interactions with students and families as soon as possible. This can include things like a welcome email or newsletter, calling each family either before school starts or even over the course of the first few weeks of school. It's also really fun to just stand in front of the school during morning drop-off and say a quick hello. Let me tell you, as a parent, anything a teacher can do to get my little critters out of the car faster in the morning is awesome. Anyway, any of these things can work. At the same time, be sure to set up whatever home communication tool you're going to use for the coming school year. Maybe it's online, like Google Classroom or whatever learning management system your school uses. Or maybe it's a printed newsletter that gets sent home once a week. When I taught the younger grades, I just sent out a super simple printed 1 sheet of paper that reminded people of all the upcoming events for the week. Your school might also have a text or email service like Remind or Class Dojo. Whatever it is, now is the time to set up your first proactive communication as an introduction to yourself and so that the class can see who you are. If you're looking for a get to know the teacher newsletter, Canva has tons of them for free. But if you prefer verbal communication over written, I highly recommend recording a super quick video for families that introduces yourself and welcomes the students to your class. If you're interested in creating one of those, I have an entire video with a step-by-step tutorial on exactly how to do that for free using either your phone or built-in camera on your computer. It's super quick and the kids love being able to see their teacher before school starts. So I'll be sure to link it in the description box below. Now, you all know how much I love my coworkers and how much time we spend collaborating and planning together. But before you spend your time catching up with all your teacher besties, let me tell you the two people you have to check in with first: the school front office staff and the custodian staff. Go say hi, bring them coffee or snacks, and see if there's anything they need. And don't you dare ask them for anything until you've made an effort to help them first. These people are the keys to success and a happy entire school year. And the beginning of the school year can be extremely busy and perhaps even like chaotic for them. So do your best to make their jobs easier. They have an entire school to serve, and you are just one of the many folks that they want to assist. So be sure you are patient and wait for your turn. I would also probably add school counselors or classroom aides and food service staff to that list as well, and probably even the tech team. Just be nice to everyone, but do it without immediately expecting something else from them in return too. The next items are actually the decor pieces I make sure to have prepared, and that's classroom signage everywhere. Nothing is more nerve-wracking for children or families than having to wander the whole campus, hoping they find the correct room and teacher. So make sure to label the outside of the classroom, the door, the windows, whatever, with your name, room number, and grade level, or block schedule and course if you teach middle or high school. It's also super helpful to have the first day bell schedule on the outside of your door so that as any students walk by or walk through the halls, they can make sure they're going to the right place at the right time. Also, sometimes dismissal times are different for the first week of school, so be sure to communicate those to families as well. Next is creating the first assignment for the students to complete. For me, that's the birthday card envelope, except that they don't know that's what it is yet. I created an entire video that walks you through the steps, but basically on the first day of school, after I've greeted the students at the door and learned how to pronounce their names correctly and showed them how to find their seat, their first assignment at their desk is to decorate an envelope. But what they don't know is that this envelope ends up coming back to them when I send each of them a birthday card in the mail. The students love this surprise, especially since many of them, especially if they have a birthday at the end of the year, forgot that they decorated these envelopes on the first day of school. And they always come back the day after they've received the card to tell me all about it. I'll go ahead and link the how-to video in the description box for you to check out later. The next item I prep is the first night's homework with a twist. It's actually for the parents or the students' caretakers, but the students get super stoked about this because they love giving their adults an assignment to do. But basically what it is an opportunity for families to tell me about my new student. The parents can write their own letters, but I also actually encourage the students to write one with their families. These are so helpful because not only do I get to learn everything about my students the first week of school, but I also get to learn it from the people who know them best. I'll be sure to leave the free customizable template in the description box of this video, of course. The next item might seem a little small, but man, it is so helpful. As soon as I get my class list, I immediately print out a class roster with pictures. Most student roster or attendance programs can do this for you using last year's pictures. I love having this ready so that I can begin learning student names right away. However, and I cannot stress this enough, please do not cold call student names on the first day of school. Take it from a Marielle DeRosier, just ask the kid what they want to be called. Which is why, incidentally, that I greet them at the door. That way I can have a one-on-one quick check-in and ask them directly. So learn their names and pronouns, say them correctly, and it will go a very long way in helping you to build rapport with your students. Speaking of your students, after you get your class roster, march on down to last year's teachers. Bring them snacks, see if they can spend 15 to 20 minutes going over your roster with you. What's great about this is they could also help you with some of the name pronunciations. Now, what's tricky about this is you don't want the prior teacher's experience to necessarily influence your own, new, fresh experience with the students. But just know that kids can change, environments can change, and just because a certain student responded to a prior teacher in one way does not mean that that's how they'll respond to you. However, a prior teacher can give you a really good sense of the class dynamics, their academic progress, and some of their interests or activities they enjoyed. I found that these meetings, in addition to the family letters, have given me a huge jumpstart on how to best plan for the coming school year. All right, lesson plans. Don't stress. Don't just roll in on your first day with nothing, but realize that the first 2 weeks are sort of a mess. First of all, chances are the school schedules are a little wacky and not the real school schedule or times yet. Secondly, while academics are certainly important, I highly prioritize routines and procedures the first 2 full weeks of school. The types of tasks I'm talking about are procedures like handing out and collecting papers, rules for team collaboration, how to transition from one activity to another, that sort of thing. But in terms of actual lesson plans, I don't write plans for more than 1 or 2 days at a time for the first 2 weeks. And of course, there's a few reasons for this. Part of it is what I already mentioned about teaching routines and procedures, and I never know how long that's going to take each day or which ones need to be reviewed and which ones the students pick up right away. But another reason is because I need to spend that time doing activities that help me understand how to best create student groupings. I love teaching each subject, beginning with a mini teacher-led lecture, and then spending the rest of each content block having the students rotate in groups through either engaging centers or group activities. So those first 2 weeks are spent assessing student levels and teaching each step of the procedure and what for them to do at each center. We literally spend one day on one center and then the next day on another one until they've learned all the procedures and rotations for the centers. Taking my time teaching each center is important because with the exception of the teacher table center, all of the centers are student-led, independent, and group work. So it's important they know what to do without my involvement. If you're not sure which routines and procedures to prioritize, then I have got the resource for you. Last year, my colleagues and I created the ultimate list of back-to-school routines and procedures for this very reason. The template is completely editable and customizable for your grade level or class, and the best part is it's totally free. So I'll be sure to include the video and the template in the resource section below. There is one set of plans I do make sure are ready before the first day of school, and that's my emergency sub-plans. I know that phrase strikes a little bit of fear into us, and mostly because on the surface, they seem like such a pain to create, which is why I stole my colleague Jenny's idea and now have the easiest emergency sub-plans ever. If you haven't checked out that video already, I'll be sure to link it below, but basically it's an awesome system that you can use year after year and requires very minimal prep or effort. All right, the last item on my list is a bit of advice that has been given to me over the years from my amazing colleagues, and that is enjoy the first day. The beginning of the year should be exciting and joyful. This is the time to welcome your new students and get to know them and to begin something new as a community. This is definitely not the time to be fighting folks at the dollar spot and Target. And like one of my mentor teachers once told me, if the kids have a place to sit and something to do, you'll be fine. I also don't stress about what my classroom looks like because as my colleague Leanna taught me and also shared on one of our podcast episodes, what kids like to see in their classroom environment is themselves. So give the students a chance to produce some work, bring in family photos, collaborate on group projects, make their own anchor charts, and let them make the space theirs. And if you're really feeling like you just have to have a theme, you can always choose Stephanie's, which is whatever's on sale. If you're interested in more back-to-school tips and ideas, then check out this curated playlist with all the activities and systems I've established for the beginning of the school year. But please enjoy what little summer you have left. I'm Bucket Stephanie.